Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FrostBytez Gaming Experience, part 44 of the Pokemon Emerald walkthrough, and this is it, folks. We're going into the Elite Four. I'm showcasing the Pokemon that I have, the move list that they have, the items that they have, all of that. Basically, what I ended up doing, because as I said in the last part, I was unable to take out the Elite Four with my current team, or at least not consistently enough that I could record with it. So I had to do a little bit of grinding, and what I ended up doing was I grinded all of my Pokemon to level 55, and I took all of the rare candies out of the PC, and just used those rare candies on individual Pokemon that I felt would be more beneficial to have it. And as you can see, Flygon, I pretty much considered my main MVP going into this in a lot of cases. And he was in a lot of cases as well. But no, I felt like I really needed Flygon to be very far up. But let's go ahead and get things started off. We start off with Sydney here. And one of the first things I do want to say, oh my god, do I love this music. This Elite Four theme is one of my favorites out of all Elite Four themes. Oh, it's so good. Mightyena, level 46. Roar, Double Edge, Sand Attack, and Crunch. I haven't played Oraz yet, but I have obviously gone and listened to the remixes of a lot of the songs from Gen 3 into that. And while I feel like it's still pretty good, I don't think it comes nearly as close to as good as the original in Gen 3 was. Shiftry, level 48, Torment, Double Team, Swagger, and Extra Sensory. I mean, it's just such a good song. I don't know what it is about it, because I'll be honest, most of Gen 3 soundtrack I'm not exactly a fan of. There's a couple here and there that I really do enjoy, but this song, oh my god, one of my favorites. Absol, level 49, the mainstay of the Sydney team. Aerial Ace, Rock Slide, Sword Dance, and Slash with a Citrus Berry on hold. Basically looking to get a Sword Dance in and crit you to death is exactly what it's looking to do. But it makes it a lot easier when A, you're overpowered, but B, you've also got fighting moves on your side as well. Crawdon, level 48 with Surf, Sword Dance, Strength, and Facade. Crawdon, not exactly that much of a threat. You have any kind of electric type, or once again, if you did start off with Torchic to have Blaziken, relatively easy to go through. No problem whatsoever. Finally, Cacturne, level 46, Leech Seed, Feint Attack, Needle Arm, and Cotton Spore. Basically, if you pick Torchic in the beginning of this, you're good to go against Sydney. You have the fire types for the two grass types, and you have the fighting type as well for all of them being dark types. Not really the hardest to go in, even when I tried to originally fight the Elite Four with my Pokemon at a lower level. Sydney was not that hard to go against. The biggest thing that I had to worry about was not being able to one-shot Mightyena and having to deal with getting Sand Attack right into the face and not being able to really hit anything. Well, not being able to hit Mightyena and kind of losing the edge a bit. But even then, it still really wasn't all that hard. Another thing you'll notice when you're listening, when I'm talking to Phoebe, if you could hear it over my own self-talking, is that the introduction music with every single Elite Four member is different and ties in a little bit more to the character themselves. However, looking at Phoebe, just from the sprite model, looks like it's going to be a water type. Nope, it is a ghost type, starting off with Dusclops, level 48, Shadow Punch, Confuse Ray, Curse, and Protect. If you were wondering why Flygon had black glasses in the beginning of this, is because I kind of want to use Flygon. I want to use Flygon's Crunch ability in the beginning against Phoebe. You would think I'd want to use mostly just Sableye in this, and in a lot of cases you would be right. However, Flygon with Crunch, with the black glasses, does a little bit more damage than Sableye does with Shadow Ball and the spell tag on. And the biggest reason why I would much rather use Flygon in the beginning is because Sableye still isn't really strong enough to one-shot any of the Pokemon that Phoebe have, except for maybe two, but the two that it's slower than. And during my test runs on the lower levels, Sableye would take a lot of pot shots before finishing off Phoebe, and I kind of needed Sableye to stay alive a little bit longer in order to deal with Phoebe's #1 Pokemon, which is this upcoming Dusclops here. Dusclops level 51, Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, Rock Slide, and Earthquake. Quite the move list that you have to deal with going against Dusclops. Does have the Citrus Berry as well. As you can see, even at a much higher level, Sableye's Shadow Ball, along with the spell tag, is still not exactly strong enough to one-shot Dusclops. And yeah, because of that, especially in my lower levels, Sableye would die to that Shadow Ball because of the fact that it just does normal damage overall. And, you know, taking the pot shots earlier from Phoebe's other ghost type Pokemon made it a little bit harder. I will say though, Phoebe was still not the Elite Four member that gave me the hardest tie. We're dealing with one Banette here, level 49, and I'm not exactly sure which one it is because they're both level 49. One of them has Shadow Ball, Grudge, Will-O-Wisp, and Feint Attack, while the other one has Shadow Ball, Psychic, Thunderbolt, and Facade. One is more just trying to get off Will-O-Wisp and lower your attack a bit, while the other one is just going full fisticuffs against you. But I don't know, you wouldn't know which one's which until one of them finally used one of their attacks. Sableye, level 50, Shadow Ball, Double Team, Nightshade, and Feint Attack. Kind of like with my Sableye, the biggest problem with going against the opposing Sableye is that the opposing Sableye, just like your Sableye, has no weaknesses to deal with. And because of that, you know, when it's the two Sableyes going against one another, it's just kind of shadow balling each other, and that does take a while on both ends, but it means that my Sableye takes a little bit more damage than I want it to. And again, I'm just trying to save up as much health on it as I possibly could when going against Phoebe's Dusclops, but we were capable of getting that done a little bit ahead of time, no problem. And then finally, she has the other Banette. Let me go ahead and say this though. So, obviously one member of the entire Elite Four gave me a huge problem, but nothing gave me a bigger problem in anything than the item that you've seen used already, Full Restore. I am sorry, why is this still a thing? And again, I haven't played any of the newer gens. I haven't played Gen 6, Gen 7. I don't know if they stopped doing that, but from what I remember seeing, it looks like they still use Full Restore. Why is that still a thing? We're in the Elite Four. This should be mano a mano, Pokemon against Pokemon. Items should no longer be a thing. I really think that's something that they need to completely just get rid of in gym battles, in gyms and the Elite Four. Going against people out in the wild, whatever, that's one thing. But the fact that in gyms, even the trainers leading up to the gym leader and the Elite Four itself, the fact that, you know, you have to deal with items on top of the other Pokemon, I feel is just cheating in my opinion. Anyways, so Flygon, we got finished up using Crunch. We don't really need it anymore, so now Flygon's going to learn Solar Beam. Why is that? You'll see later on. There's a lot of weird things that I do within this. I move items around consistently. You know, Flygon has the black glasses on now, but because I got rid of the darkness move, I'll maybe switching it off a little bit later, but we'll see. Glacia, she's the one that if you kind of look at her in the derpness of the face, there's a lot of derpy faces that they have when they show the sprites a little bit up close. But the way she talks and the way she looks, you would think that she's the ghost type, except for the name, which obviously showcases that yes, she is in fact the ice type. Starting off with Celio, level 50, Encore, Body Slam, Hail, and Ice Ball. So luckily, because the Celio has no water type moves, Blaziken can actually come out and get one bulk up off before sweeping the entire team. The reason why we need to get at least one bulk up is because her best Pokemon that she's going to be bringing out next is very tanky. And without the bulk up, we do not one-shot it, and it does have a water move that I do not want to deal with. So because we know that this Celio does not have any water type moves, we are capable of getting off one bulk up in order to sweep the entire team, no problem. Even when in my lower levels, Glacia was no problem whatsoever. Walrein, level 53, this is her #1 lead right here. Surf, Body Slam, Ice Beam, and looks like Sheer Cold with the Citrus Berry as well. Again, relatively tanky. Without the bulk up, I still, even at this high of a level, I am still incapable of one-shotting it, even with the super effectiveness of the fighting against the ice type. So yeah, get off one bulk up if you need to, or if you just have a better Pokemon in general, that's good to go. Glalie, level 50. This one has a Light Screen, Crunch, Icy Wind, and Ice Beam. And again, this is another one where some of the, like, I think Glacia is a little bit weak compared to the other Elite Four members, only because I think that the ice types that are in Gen 3 are relatively weak compared to other types. The other Celio, level 52, this one has Attract, Double Edge, Hail, and Blizzard. But I just think that, you know, they're more tank related than attack related, and when you're whole entire purpose is to try and be as tanky as possible, you're gonna lose to more of a sweep style team that mine is based around. Even if I didn't have Blaziken out and if I had Magneton out, going against Walrein and the Celios, easily completely destroy them with one Thunderbolt each, because as tanky as they can be, they can't really stop a full sweep team. Glalie, level 52, the final Pokemon, Shadow Ball, Explosion, Hail, and Ice Beam. And that is it. She is done for, and once again, wasn't an issue at all when first going against. You know, again, Phoebe would take out a couple Pokemon here and there, or give me a little bit of challenge. But Sydney and Glacia, no problem whatsoever. And now we got to get set up for the next gentleman known as Drake. But yeah, I really hope that if they haven't gotten rid of full restores yet, I hope they do in the near future. I would like to see it more where when you're going against the Elite Four in general, like, there's no items that you can use or your opponent can use. And then at the end of each individual Elite Four member, if you could just, like, if there's like a little mini health stop to heal up your Pokemon so that it's full mono on mono, like full team fully healthy versus full team fully healthy. Alrighty, so here we go. We got Drake. He is the dragon user. He kind of does look like a dragon user, but he also looks like he could be another water type user. Starting off with Shelgon, level 52, Rock Tomb, Dragon Claw, Protect, and Double Edge. And obviously that's why Flygon's going to be in the forefront, and why we gave him the Dragon Fang, because we want Dragon Claw to completely sweep Drake's team. Let me say once again, Drake was not the problem. So now everyone knows exactly who the problem was when it came into this run. No, Drake wasn't really the problem, but Drake could be a problem. There were some times during my test run with my weaker team where he would actually sweep my team. Second Pokemon he brings out is Flygon, level 53, Flamethrower, Crunch, Dragon Breath, and Earthquake. Again, not really anything too much to worry about. We are capable of one-shotting Flygon, even in my test runs with a much lower team. Because the best dragon move that Flygon has is Dragon Breath, my Flygon's able to take it out with Dragon Claw. No problem whatsoever. Not really that hard to deal with. Next up, we have Drake's Altaria, Double Edge, Dragon Breath, Dragon Dance, and Aerial Ace. Altaria, once again, even at a lower level, not that much of a problem to go against. Milotic's faster, and Ice Beam with its ×2 effectiveness obviously is going to be taking it out no problem. Here we go, Drake's final two Pokemon. These are the two that would sweep me on occasions, or give me take out a number of my Pokemon beforehand, before I would finally be able to take him out. Obviously, Kingdra, level 53, Smokescreen, Dragon Dance, Surf, and Body Slam. Not too hard for Flygon to deal with. If it got off a dragon, it would usually get off a Dragon Dance at least one before I could take it out. And then after that, it would kind of either surf me to death or hit me with a Body Slam and paralyze me. And that would be like the start of the sweep, as if it did paralyze me. Sometimes the surf could be a little bit of a problem, but not too much, because Dragon Dance ups your attack, not your special attack. Salamence, on the other hand, the big sweeper of the team. Level 55 with a Citrus Berry, Flamethrower, Dragon Claw, Rock Slide, and Crunch. Biggest thing that Salamence would have is the fact that it is faster for one. It's one of the fastest Pokemon you have to deal with. But Rock Slide has that 30% chance of flinching. And in a lot of cases where he would sweep me, it would be because he would make my Milotic flinch like 2 times. And Milotic was really the only Pokemon that was capable of taking out Salamence, because Salamence would be much faster than Flygon, and Salamance's Dragon Claw much stronger. So it would completely one-shot my Flygon just about every single time. And yeah, Salamence would completely sweep my team if I got relatively unlucky with the Rock Slides and Milotic. But again, that was kind of it though. Like, if I got unlucky, I would lose to Drake. But in more cases than not, I would still be able to beat Drake, maybe lose a Pokemon or two. You know, it was a good battle. So as you can tell, the 4 members of the Elite Four kind of went exactly as I expected it to. You know, I wanted the challenge to lose a Pokemon here and there, you know, for it to be, you know, a gritty battle, not a one-shot fest as it's been on video. Unfortunately, the champion had much different plans in mind for me. Because at my lower level, I could only beat him one in like every 10 to 15 attempts. And again, yes, I could beat him that one, but when you're trying to record and trying to do the entirety of Elite Four when it can take anywhere from about 20 to 30 minutes to do, I'm not looking to spend that much time just to try and get that one chance of actually beating him. It's just not going to happen. This is Champion Wallace, the water type user. And oh my god, does he skyrocket in levels, as you can tell from the very beginning of Waylord, level 57. Rain Dance, Water Spout, Double Edge, and Blizzard. Biggest problem with Waylord is the water spout ability, as it does more damage the more max health that it has, but it does less damage the less max health that it has. This is where I get a little bit confused here. So Magneton was able to come out, attack first, and beat Waylord. I got really lucky there, because it's always been a 50-50, even during my test recordings at this high of a level. Sometimes Magneton would be faster than Waylord, sometimes Waylord would be faster, and it'd be like, okay, Magneton gets the one shot on Waylord, or Waylord gets the one shot on me, whoever randomly gets faster, with no difference in between, just a level 57 against level 57, it would change up on who is faster. I don't get it. Gyarados, level 56, the bane of my whole recording existence, Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Hyper Beam, Surf. Gyarados is already a really strong Pokemon to begin with, but the minute it gets off one single Dragon Dance, it sweeps my entire team. And it still takes out a couple Pokemon, even though I did grind up to high levels, which would give you an idea of how much harder it would be if I only had a level 50 as my highest one, because Gyarados having Earthquake will completely destroy Magneton like it's no one's business, and Magneton is really the only thing that can deal with Gyarados. So because of that, what exactly am I supposed to do? Well, basically you throw out Milotic, you use Attract, and pray to God that it's just immobilized by love so much that you can just Ice Beam it to death as much as possible. The next thing you could do with Milotic, as I taught it Swagger, is you could Swagger Gyarados and just take that 50-50 on throwing out Magneton, pray to God that it smacks itself in the face both times, because you're doing one where you throw it out. I hate full restore. Oh my god. Again, the biggest problem was the full restore, because there were so many times where I had Wallace and I was capable of beating him, except for he would use one full restore and it was like, cool, that's it. And I refused to do that. I think the only time I ever really used items in the middle of a battle when it came to the Elite Four was Gen 2, because that was still kind of, you know, new to YouTube, but also the fact that I was still relatively younger at the time. And I think I used like a heal, a full heal, a max revive or something like that. But ever since then, I'm like, no, I refuse to do that. It's completely bullshit. So basically, the big plan is that I needed Gyarados to one-shot one of my Pokemon, throw out Magneton, get out the Thunderbolt, and call it good. But as you can see, with Milotic just using Ice Beam and immobilizing Gyarados with Love, you know, it was entirely possible to beat him, except for the fact that Full Restore is still a thing. Oh my god, Full Restore it caused me to just lose my mind, and that was the main reason why I needed to go out and grind. Whiscash. Oh boy, this is another fun one to deal with. So we got a level 56 Whiscash, Earthquake, Surf, Amnesia, and Hyper Beam. Whiscash is, again, the other water and ground type. But luckily, with Solrock using Sunny Day, which is really the only thing I need Solrock to do, we'll use Sunny Day to lower the damage of the water type moves, but as people might also know, is that it also makes us that Solar Beam doesn't need a charging turn. Makes a little bit more sense why we gave Flygon that Solar Beam right there, because Whiscash is now quadruple affected to water type moves, being part ground as well. So yeah, eat this Solar Beam, you little piece of shit. Because the other thing about Whiscash I did not know is that Whiscash also has the ability of Oblivious, meaning that Attract doesn't work because he's too oblivious to know that a cute-looking Milotic is totally hitting on him. You know, and now using the ability Amnesia makes even more sense. This guy's just clueless. He's a really cute-looking derpy Pokemon, though. Like, I love how all of the water ground types really are supposed to look as derpy as possible. Quagsire is a massive derp. Whiscash is a massive derp. Hell, even Swampert looks like a massive derp if you really look at it. It's like the fact that they are capable of hiding their #1 weakness just suddenly turns them into a massive derp fest. I absolutely love it. Tentacruel, I love this. Level 55, Toxic, Hydro Pump, Sludge Bomb, and Ice Beam. I love Tentacruel. I think Tentacruel is very underrated. He is such a tanky monster. Seeing him on an actual champion team makes me so happy. I absolutely love Tentacruel. Oh, by the way, also, this, I know I've been talking over it, but the champion theme in Generation 3, I am going to say it right now. This is my favorite. This is my favorite champion theme. It is. My most nostalgic one will always be Gen 2 against Lance, but Gen 3s, whether it's against Steven or Wallace, yes, if you're playing the Ruby and Sapphire version, it is Steven you go against, the rock dude that you see a couple times. But here it's Wallace, but I don't know. Just this... I mean, you can't go wrong. It's such a cool song. Oh, one of my favorites. Anyways, number 1 hitter and one of my personal favorite Pokemon of Gen 3, Milotic, level 58. Recover, Surf, Ice Beam, and Toxic. Oh boy, what a stall Pokemon. Toxic with Recover and then has coverage moves of Surf and Ice Beam. Boy, oh my goodness. But now you know why I needed Flygon to be at such a high level, because Earthquake is going to be one of the best moves I could use, but then we have to deal with the Ice Beam and getting one-shot by that. I think it does actually one-shot me, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, and again, you can see why it was so difficult for me. And again, a lot of it is my own fault. I have a really bad team for when it comes to dealing with Wallace. My team is good for dealing the rest of the Elite Four, but I don't have a good grass type to carry me through Wallace. But luckily, I was able to have him use all of his full restores. Thank God he only had like 3, because if he had more than that, I still would not be able to beat him, and I would just lose my mind. But, oh my god. And then finally, Ludicolo. This is probably one of the Pokemon I should have picked up for my team, because a water grass type is actually pretty good to have. Anyways, level 56, Giga Drain, Surf, Leech Seed, and Double Team. Again, the biggest problem here is dealing with the Double Team, because, yeah, not having a guarantee hit move can be a little bit hard, and the fact that it is part water, part grass means that Electric is not double effective against it anymore. Right now, you have to use Bug types in order to deal with it, or Poison types. So once again, luckily for us, it's also just takes normal damage from fighting type moves, is not faster than Blaziken, and doesn't have any more full restores, and that's it! Champion Wallace is defeated! Oh my god! Oh, you have no idea how good it felt to finally get it recorded on me beating him, because wow, was he tough! And again, he's mostly tough because of the full restores. Even parts of the Elite Four where I say, okay, like, you know, Drake was able to deal with me a couple times, or Phoebe was a bit of a pain. Well, they were only a little bit tough to deal with because they had access to full restore. I'm sorry, I hate that. I think that that should not be a thing. And maybe they did stop doing it. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if in X and Y or Sun and Moon, or even in the future Sword and Shield, they'll stop doing that, but they really do. Instead, implement it to where you go against the Elite Four, and after you deal with the Elite Four, just let there be a Pokemon station right there to quickly heal up your entire team to go up to the next person. I know, like, I remember someone made a comment on one of my videos a while ago how I was cheating the Elite Four because I was using items, like, in between the Elite Four members, and I don't think that that's true. I do think it's true that using it during the battle is cheating, but then at the same time, it's like, whatever. If my opponent is going to cheat and use items against me, then I should be able to cheat and use items against them all the same. But I refuse to do it now. I did in my Gen 2 Pokemon Gold walkthrough. I think I did it then where I needed to use, I threw out one Pokemon to get shot so I could use a Max Revive on another Pokemon to guarantee beat Lance. And I think I also had to do it. I don't think I needed to do it against Red, though. I think Red I was able to do it just with my team straight up, no items whatsoever. But against Lance, I do remember I had to use at least one Max Revive. But then after that, I was like, no, I am done. We are not using items in the middle of battles against the Elite Four. Or against gym leaders. I guess against gym leaders, maybe I did use the flutes to wake up my Pokemon or snap them out of paralysis. And even then, that's kind of cheating in a lot of cases, but once again, I feel like, cool. But so do my opponents. They use items all the time as well, so they need to make it so that it is impossible to use items, yourself and your opponent, when dealing with gyms and dealing with the Elite Four. Instead, in the Elite Four, after every single Elite Four member, just have the Pokemon full restore to their full, and then go to the next one. Because the fun thing about the Elite Four, it's not about, to me, it's not about the grind on how far can your Pokemon get before they all faint. No, to me, it's my full team against my opponent's full team, and then just seeing which team is better. It's hard to judge that if you're constantly using items, or if I'm going against, say, the Elite Four champion, and I've only got 3 Pokemon left to his 6, well, there's nothing fun about that. So I don't see why we can't make it. And again, maybe they have done this. Maybe I'm bitching about something that's already been fixed. I'm going just based on what I know, obviously. But again, I just think it's ridiculous. Items should not be a thing. It's supposed to be a climactic battle between you and your opponent. 2 Pokemon at full strength, constantly going against each other and seeing which one is better than the other. It is not about who has more full restores than the other. And I know a lot of people also feel the same way. You know, it's not like I'm singing a new tune here or anything. But wow, was it just so annoying. It hurts to know that my possibilities of beating the entire Elite Four with the team I had before grinding them up to a higher level increases with the fact that they couldn't use items and neither could I. It just really hurt, because even when going against Wallace with the bad teams that I had, my chances of beating him up to maybe being even like 60-40, because going against him, it was like I had a 10% chance of beating him. I feel like it increases up to at least a 40% chance of beating him if items are not a thing. But I digress. What's done is done. It's a walkthrough above all else. It's not a Let's Play, so I didn't want to show you guys all the failures of trying to do the Elite Four. I just much rather showcase the Elite Four, and the fact that I needed to grind up for it, it kind of sucks, but it's what I needed to do. That's just kind of the way it is. So one thing you may notice, what it does here with the credits is kind of cool. It scrolls through all the Pokemon that you have caught and is on your team. But that might confuse some people, because then you look at it and you're like, wait a minute. This guy's got a Wailord and I can't remember its name, a Relincanth or whatever it's called. I don't remember ever seeing those. Why does he have those? Well, that is all going to be showcased either in the next part or the following part. I think it's the following part. I don't think it's the next part. It might be the following part. One of the next 2 parts. All of that will make sense in due time. Don't you worry about it. There's a reason I have a Wailord and a Relincanth. You guys will see all of that in due time. But this is kind of a cool, ending credits showcase. I do like that it does show all the Pokemon that you've caught. Show riding on the bike. You can see some of the city, some of the forest, all that stuff. I think it's pretty cool. But that's it. That's it. We're technically done with Pokemon Emerald in some cases. In other cases, we still have quite a bit to do. Including those of us that needs to be live. But that's the Elite Four. I absolutely love the Elite Four in Emerald. Because I never played Ruby or Sapphire, I don't know how much different it is to go against Steven as the champion as opposed to Wallace. I've only known going against Wallace. So I don't know if it's a little bit easier, a little bit harder. It could go one way or the other. I'm not exactly sure. But as far as the music goes, S tier. Both the Elite Four and the Champion. Elite Four music, one of my favorites. And the Champion music is... I'd easily probably say it is my favorite. Even comparing to the nostalgia of Gen 2, I think, in my opinion, nothing beats it. I know some people think that Cynthia's is better, and I agree. I think hers is really good, but I don't know what it is. Something about those trumpets in Gen 3 and how it sounds, it fits. It fits Gen 3 so perfectly, and maybe I like it so much because there's a lot about Gen 3's music I don't really like, but... the Champion music, my God, love it so much. The fights are really fun. I'm really sorry I couldn't show you guys the fights when it was, actually a back and forth battle. I'm sorry it had to be a one-shot fest, but that's what needed to happen in order for me to defeat the Champion. At least with the Champion, it was a back and forth one-shot fest, but everything up to that, yeah, it was a lot easier. But again, even in my lower levels, it was relatively about the same with maybe one casualty or 2 added. But I've been ranting on for way too long, folks. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evenings. I hope that this was at least entertaining enough for you. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. We'll catch you all on the next part.